There's a lot of optimism. I mean, everyone's talking about Trump and his business tax cuts, which I totally favor and I believe will help business and will help profits. But that's a ways down the road. Right now, a lot of bullishness about third quarter profits improvement. Many people are saying we've turned the corner and the 5 or 6 quarter decline is over. If that's true, then I think you're going to head right through 20,000, no problem. But I'll just put some numbers on the board. Today, year-on-year wages, 2.9%.
Right.
Productivity is basically nil. Business inflation, business prices, 1.5%. So we're still in a tough period. Costs are rising faster than prices. Normally, that is a negative for profits.
Okay, Mohammed, after hearing all of that, what do you make of where we stand today as we stand on the threshold of Dow 20,000?
So I think we've gotten here for good reasons. One, as Larry said, pro-growth policy announcements, deregulation, infrastructure spending. Two, a better political setup, i.e., we may get Congress acting on these policy proposals. And three, the rest of the world hasn't gotten in our way. And that's important to stress. The rest of the world has been pretty benign in recent months and weeks. So we've gotten here for good reasons. To go further, we need announcements to become design and implementation. Yeah. And somehow we need to cope with the divergence between the good things that are happening in the US and the less good things that are happening elsewhere, which means we've got to be careful about the dollar.
You know, Mohammed, let me just raise a point, because I agree with you, as I think we usually do. But look, on the issue of the pro-growth tax policy, and I'm going to just focus on the business taxes, easy repatriation, 15% or 20% rate, corporate tax rate for large and small companies, and immediate expensing. All that is pro-growth. If it goes through, it's going to be just tremendous and could raise economic growth to 4 or 5% for at least a couple of years.
Larry, I just wonder, let me ask you this, though. You know, we've been hearing from Paul Ryan this week. We had Jeb Hensarling on yesterday, and it seems like they're tempering expectations of when a lot of this policy is going to be finally enacted. Has the market gotten ahead of itself? Is it expecting it to happen tomorrow? Okay,
that's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Step on my line. It's okay. It's Bill Griffith. No, I don't have any problem with that at all.
Just contributing to the conversation, Lawrence.
And you always do it very well. And look, you're exactly right. The strategy as I see it, I'm just speaking for myself, I'm representing nobody, is that the health care reforms, the Obamacare reforms will come first, and then the tax reform will come second. It's a very complicated matter, tax reform. You've got this border adjustment tax stuff with tariffs in Mexico. If you don't get a tax bill this year, I would argue you're going to get less economic activity. People will postpone decisions. And your point about is the market getting ahead of itself on the matter of tax laws and tax legislation and pro-growth supply side, I worry about that, because we may not know until the very back end of this year what the rates are, who's going to pay the rates, will there be grandfathering, will it be retroactive to some date. There's a lot of things out there that are going to have to be resolved. By the way, just a quickie, that's why I wanted to put the business tax reform piece into the first reconciliation bill with the health care. I still believe that's the way out of this.
All right, Mohammed, you've been waiting very patiently. We just had Peter Bookvar and Jim Bianco on. Both of them, when we asked about Dow 20,000, they wanted to talk about the bond market. They're worried about the inflationary implications of what's going on right now, and their fear is that rates are going to just skyrocket at some point, and which will hurt economic growth, not to mention what it does to the stock market. What's your view of that?
So I agree with them that the bond market is smelling higher inflation as well as higher growth. But I disagree on rates skyrocketing because of international arbitrage. If anything skyrockets, is going to be the dollar. And that's why it's really important to think about the divergence. But yes, the bond market is smelling both higher growth and high inflation. And we've had too low inflation. So an inflation rate of about 2%, that's pretty good for the economy.
You know, I think you're right, Mohammed. I think it's the skyrocketing part that I find difficult to believe. I don't think economic growth overnight is going to 5 or 6%, so that would drive up the real rates. I don't see that. And I grant you inflation expectations have increased. The 10-year break-evens are now about 2%. But I would note the dollar is very strong, as you know, and I believe a strong dollar holds down inflation, all other things being equal. So anyway, I don't see skyrocketing rates.